Well, Premier Doug Ford and several of his counterparts held talks with U.S. governors in Boston today. The topics discussed included energy, manufacturing, and tourism. The meeting comes amid the trade war that was sparked by President Trump's tariffs. New England's governors, including the ones for Maine and Massachusetts, invited the premiers to meet. And Canada is those states' largest single trading partner. And for more on this, we're joined live by John Micek, politics editor at masslive.com. John, good afternoon. Thanks a lot for speaking with us. Okay, so let's start with this. You know, these governors invited the premiers to come meet with them. How does that set the stage for these discussions?
Bakari, good to be with you again this afternoon. I think you pretty well nailed it. We're talking about billions of dollars in economic value between the New England states and the eastern Canadian provinces. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey sort of reinforcing that cooperative relationship. Massachusetts seen a 20% decline, for instance, in tourism since last year as a result of President Donald Trump's trade war. So New England states are feeling this in a very real way. And there's an opportunity today for them to discuss this impact firsthand with your Canadian leaders.
What you're hearing so far, what has come out of these meetings versus what is expected to come out of these meetings?
Sure. I mean, there's not going to be anything concrete that comes out of this. It's not like they're going to sign an agreement to stand together or something like that. I mean, some of it was a PR exercise. Some of it was a bit of an airing of the grievances. What was interesting, though, about this, as much as the leaders on both sides of the border emphasize the mutual cooperation between them, there's very clear bad feelings still on your side of the border about this talk about the 51st state. Premier Ford mentioned that. Susan Holt, the Premier of New Brunswick, also alluded to that as well. So it is still very much a strain, I think, between the northeastern states and Canada.
Okay, so I want to pick up on something that you mentioned. You know, could this just be a PR stunt because we have the G7 happening, over in Kananaskis, where, there's the talks between the prime minister as well as, the U.S. president. So what can actually happen here?
Well, I mean, the coincidence clearly, the timing of this clearly was not a coincidence with Trump being in Alberta for that meeting of the G7. It was a bit of counter-programming by both the governors and the premiers to make their messages. This perhaps strengthen cross-border ties, but will it last beyond the day? We'll have to say.
Now, overall, what's being said about these conversations in terms of just like the overall U.S. political climate with other governors?
Sure. I mean, again, you heard from, say, Janet Mills, the governor of Maine, and Phil Scott, the Republican governor of Vermont, sort of stressed the generations of family ties between the United States and Canada. You have families who live on either side of the border who live in Quebec. You have Canadians who come down and vacation in Boston. The premier of Nova Scotia, for instance, mentioned the Christmas tree that they send to Boston Common every year. So again, there's a lot of this reinforcement of the positive relationships, a lot of PR that went on today that very clearly served as counter-programming to what's going on in Alberta.
Okay. John Micek, politics editor at masslive.com. Thanks a lot.